A brand new episode of So God Happened starts now.
Welcome everybody to episode 1 of So God Happened. And now this is a youth-centered podcast where me talk to the young stars of tomorrow about their journeys with Christ. So you know what God do for them in their life right now, what I'm doing in the past, and what I'm thinking about for them. My guest today, oh gosh, is none other than Mr. Zowayne Williams. Now, Zowayne are one of them people that will just have accolades back at them name. So we just can't listen it out. When you talk writer, youth minister, oh God, Pastor Zowayne. When you talk dramatist, actor, Zowayne does it all. So Mr. Zowayne, how are you?
I am feeling ecstatic.
Yeah.
Being here, yes.
Ecstatic, big words. So before we jump into the nitty-gritty of things, we're going to start off with a little icebreaker.
Okay.
You ready for this?
Depends on what you're coming with.
All right. We're going to see if you're ready for this. Now, Zowayne Williams, would you rather be Noah preparing for the flood or Jonah in the belly of the whale?
This is contingent upon the fact of whether I like water at all.
Say that be a random thing there.
I will answer that question. But definitely I would rather be a faithful steward on the ark rather than an unfaithful servant to the belly of a whale or that zone.
All right. So that way I work with. That you say? So that way I work with. Now, would you rather face Goliath like David had to, or be thrown in the lion's den like Daniel?
I think I've been thrown in enough lions then in my lifetime. So I say I will face Goliath for a change.
Oh, all right. All right. Seems a slingshot, guys. Now, would you rather be in the fiery furnace like the 3 Hebrew boys, or experience what Lot went through?
Is there no... It's like I'm choosing between a rock and a hard place. Listen.
Trials and tribulations.
I tell you, I would rather, and listen to the words carefully, walk through a fiery furnace than to be in Sodom and Gomorrah. Extrapolate from that what you will.
All right, sir. So, Zowayne, I want to know a little bit about little Zowayne. Talk to me about your early life.
Little Zowayne in my early life. Okie dokie. I mean, there's so much in time trying to figure out where to begin. So, I was born on April 26th, 2002. And I was raised by a single mom. And she did, obviously, an exceptional job at raising me.
I second that. Big up yourself, movie.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you on her behalf. But yeah, she did a phenomenal job at raising me as a little Zowayne. And from a tender age, I believe, I showed some exceptional differences. Mm-hmm. I don't think I was by any stretch of the imagination a child prodigy. But there are some things that distinguish me from my peers. For instance, the fact that I did not learn the alphabet by singing. So the A, B, C, D, E, that never worked for me. I'll not know two, me don't deaf. So my mother had to say the letters for me one letter at a time for me to learn the alphabet. And the other thing she's reminding me was my extraordinary ability to be glued in to Martin Luther King's I Had a Dream speech. She recalls me not being quiet with anything else, no cartoon or nothing. just leave it on the TV for watch Martin Luther King over and over and over and over until I knew his speech by heart before the age of 9. And the other thing I mentioned about my early years is the fact that I was an avid reader, always an avid reader. And I grew up on the main staples of the great Enid Blyton and the legendary Dr. Seuss. And they inspired my writing style today. I began writing again as early as age 9.
So who are some of the key players in your life at that time? Like without these people, Zowayne couldn't be Zowayne.
Well, outside of my mother, obviously. I will put myself in trouble now because you're asking me to name names. So I'll just mention one other person because there are so many. And that's my late great grandmother. We call her Auntie affectionately. She was the Iron Lady of the family. And all the Margaret Thatcher fans out there know what I mean when I say the Iron Lady. And for those who don't know,
that's exactly what I say. Who are all of the Margaret Thatcher fans out there? How many of us know?
For those who don't know, you could know today. It describes a woman who is assertive and self-assured. Now, this is not a show about my great-grandmother, but I have to take the time to talk about her. She got pregnant at age 13, was put out of the home, and she had nothing. And she died leaving behind houses with an S and paying not just for my school fee, but the school fee of my other cousins. She don't believe in complaining or giving in to circumstance. She was a resilient woman. She was assertive. And that level of self-confidence that I have, I've learned it from her. Don't back down, anybody walk over you, stuff like that.
Yeah, when you answer my next question, I'm just going to ask you, what's one key lesson that you took from then into adulthood? But why? Self-confidence, that's a big thing. That's a huge thing. Now, how did your early life shape your walk with Christ?
That is an interesting question because it seems almost contingent on the idea that one's life with Christ is shaped by some formative experience. Now, I don't mean to get preachy, but when it says to be born again, it really means to be born again. So there's no prior experience that translates.
Let me just collect the offering around the place.
But I can't answer that question directly for that reason, theologically, and for the fact that I was saved again at a very tender age. So, right.
All right. So then tell me about the moment that you gave your heart to God.
Some people have this, I admire these people. They have this one moment that changed their life. They were at the altar, they were crying, and they remember it distinctly. They said light and they feel peace. I never had that. I think I was one of those badly birthed Christians. It's an actual term. I never made it up. It's an actual term.
Okay.
So I was born again, but in the delivery process, probably something got wrong with me. So I never had that kind of experience. But I knew that my faith was real. It began initially as a copycat, See mommy do follow. But the longer I stay, I won't preempt your questions, but the longer I stay in the faith, is the more assured I am of how real God is.
So that's alone. You just follow mommy, and then what am I after? What am I after you follow mommy? More.
I just tell you.
I need more. What was it? After you follow mommy, was it just roses and sunshines and tiptoeing through the tulips and oh my God, wow, the Christian sent me a nice. What was the process after? What did you experience?
Everything we just say. It was heaven on earth. And I honestly empathize with those out there who are living life without Christ. Because I'm not going to come here and make it seem like it's all trial and crosses. It is not entirely, because I won't oversell it either, but it is a bit of roses. There's a level of peace. A level of peace that comes from knowing who God is. so that even in the difficult times, you hardly notice the trials because you're so at peace. And peace, I believe, is perpetual calm even in spite of the storm. So the things around you change, but who you are inside doesn't. So I just said that as a precursor to answer the question more directly. So that it is clear that when I come here come preach trial and grasses, it is by and large a bed of roses. If anything Christ run come. But in my formative years, I'm not going to my teenage years just yet, but in the early period walking with Christ, I think most of it was defined by my experience with the supernatural. And that might sound fancy, probably a little bit misleading. But it is how I said it, in a sense, that earlier, I was convinced that my faith was true, not because I believed some Bible story. There are real things there, but not because I believe that Joshua walked around the wall. I have seen the supernatural. So I'm in my house with my mother, and we hear water being poured into a glass. We turn around, we look at the glass. There is no picture, no water, no human hand, nobody. But the sound of water is distinct. My mother takes the glass.
How old are you at this time?
Dear Lord, you know how old I am now? You're asking me.
I know you're old before you're young, but how old were you at that time?
I am guessing probably 11, 12.
I was 11, wow.
So my mother takes the glass, throws it on the ground. The glass does not shatter. She takes the glass again, looks at it. She give it that look. She's not saying the blood of Jesus, but the glass knows what the look means. She throws it again and then the glass shatters. So that's what for me, as I experienced the supernatural.
As a child though, Zowayne, what was going through your mind at that time? Because I'm imagining a little 11, 12-year-old and all I can see is fear. But what did you feel? What did that, reveal to you about who God is?
Fear is an accurate word. Let me tell you something. The nature of God has always been revealed to me through the faith of my mother, initially. And that woman, for her, faith is practical. And just go to church and come home and pray. It's a practical thing. I mean, I have seen that lady pray for heal and heal come. I won't go into that story. I mean, we are walking, bad dog, a rushery, and my mother don't jump. She just turn around and say, silence now in the name of Jesus. And the dog just stop back. So, I mean, growing up, I've seen the supernatural and from my mother's practical outwork in the day. I mean, she believe what she believe. They tell me, say, yeah, there is a guy, a God real, and Jesus nice. You can't come out of Jesus.
So from a tender age again, you had this sort of insatiable appetite for Christ. Mm-hmm. But I know say sometimes that not translate very well, especially when you go in at a high school space where
trust me.
That's not necessarily celebrated among youth. So what was that experience like for you? Tell me about high school.
I go divide high school in two. And I said to somebody once, BC now has a new meaning. It no longer, it still means before Christ. But it can also mean before COVID. Because it's two distinct era. So I go answer along those terms, before COVID and after. Before COVID, I don't think I struggled much expressing my faith. I was no longer bold as I was when I was younger. The initial fire. I mean, when I was younger, I was a witness to people. Do you know Jesus? But as I grow older, the initial fire wears off. And you start become nervous now. You want to must pray for your lunch. Yes.
And all that stuff.
Should I pray for my lunch in public? But I told you, my great grandmother's influence on me was heavy. So I was never the kind of guy that was easily peer pressured or bullied. That. It might not shred my frame, but
really cool, but in talent.
Thank you. So the pressure to do this or that never And people revered me. I tell you, I was like the school pastor. So certain things people not surround me, or so the pressure was never there. It was never there before COVID, or from anybody, to be honest. If I was to be pressured, when we reach the interesting stuff sudden, but if I was to be pressured at all, it would have been internally. I think I am my own greatest enemy. And that, to some sense, is a great attribute, I believe, that there is nobody else out there that can challenge you the way you do. That for me is a good asset. So I was my own enemy. And in the COVID era, I had to spend a lot of time with self. Isolation does something to you. And isolation is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. It is in the stillness and the silence that you discover who you are. But you discover who God is, and then it is revealed to you who you are. Because when you're busy, it's easy to overlook the flaws in your life. Because kid my day, that was perfect. Now I mean it flawless. I mean, who would want to be Zowayne?
Premium Christian, sure.
So in my mind, everyone is like guaranteed destination, the space reserved.
Yeah.
Just Zowayne everybody. I mean, I still have the guarantee of the faith, but I mean, at the time, it's like God could have no reason to turn me back. Why self-righteousness? But yeah, that was me. And so I was constantly busy, always moving from one task to the next. And so leaving 11th grade, coming to 6th form where I met you at Arden, I left from being deputy head boy of stats. Coming to Arden now, at that time I was appointed youth rep of my church. So ministry work never ends. It's 7 days a week. You work around the clock. You finish your SBA, move on to the ministry because you have a job to do. So and in all of that, plus the isolation, the school work, the ministry work, the isolation, losing my great grandmother in the COVID era. So I never get a chance to grieve because I'm just working. Constant rejection by females, being turned down left, right, and center. There's another point I wanted to add. That and the fact that I was never, I believe, closely connected to anybody to begin with. So I don't think I really had close friends. As I said, I was more like the pastor figure. So everybody would come to Zowayne to confide in Zowayne, but there's nobody for Zowayne to confide in. And I feel bad for me. That is what I call the pastor syndrome. It happens. It happens. Because if you're a pastor, come to you and tell you, boy, I'm struggling with this, you're going to look at them different. So there's certain things you can't say to people who look up to you. So the pressure.
You need them people, though, Zowayne.
That is true. Mm-hmm. That is true. But at the time, it was just me and me one. Or so I thought. So all of this culminated into this great sense of deep isolation. In a physical sense and in a more deeper spiritual and emotional sense. And it brought me on a remarkable, an enviable self-journey. And I it's not one of my happiest memories. Obviously, I start to answer questions along, but it brought me, I believe, through a place of depression, borderline suicide. It left me alone with my thoughts and a great wrestling in terms of identity. Who am I? Mm-hmm. And I just want to speak to the audience for a second.
Your show talk.
If you're a Christian and you're going through this, nothing is wrong with you. You're not abnormal. It is what the psalmist called the journey through the valley of the shadow of death, or as Pastor Pete Scazzaro calls it, the wall. But I love how St. John of the Cross puts it. He calls it the dark night of the soul. And on average, every Christian experiences this for 3 years. And a few Christian experiences this twice. And so that was my dark night of the soul. 2020 to 2023, 3 years exact. It was an intense period of internal resistance. There were two Zowaynes inside of me fighting, ripping me apart. And the only way to be alive was to not be awake. And so I spent most of my days just sleeping to avoid or resist the thoughts or to cope. To cope. To cope with the pressures of life.
And how does one get out of that situation so much so that you can declare after that God is still God and God is good? What are the practical steps that Zowayne had to take to move from that dark space for come here today until we say everybody need to give them heart to God? That doesn't make sense, Zowayne. Oh, you go from that to that. The same God when it alive, when you're depressed, and the same God you go profess same good. Oh, why? What are the practical steps?
I was saying to a friend of mine some years ago, I was saying to my mother this morning, that the first thing that we need to understand is that God is good and that whatever he does is good and for my good. You see, from that basis is set, you never look back God and complain. Like Job, you can say God gives and he takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And you ask me for practical steps? There are none. No, and I'm going to tell you, this is why the journey was important, because before the journey, it was all about me, my deeds, my doings, what made me right in God's eyes. By being unable, immobilized to do anything at all but I rely on God's good grace, it humbled me. And that's the only practical step I can give you. Rely on God. It is He alone that can lead us through that dark valley.
So is it God that brought you to that place in the first place?
I think I was destined to be there. I think I was destined to be there. I think I was destined to be there. I think every Christian needs to go to a place where they hit rock bottom so them can look up. And whether that destiny was brought about my own human stubbornness or divine intervention, I will not say. I will not give in to presumptions. But I was destined to be there. And God was there with me.
So where is Zowayne now?
Not in the dark valley. I won't say that the struggles have ended. I'm looking at the audience, and every young man knows when I say the struggle is not over, knows exactly what I mean. The struggle has not ended. But you know what? I am now in a better place to know that one doesn't have to struggle alone. And I've now learned not to rely on me to overcome or to get through, but to rely on the grace of God. And that, I think I need to add this. Whatever your struggle, and whatever the depth of your struggle, whether homosexuality, suicide, abortion, you're never too far gone for God not to forgive. It is at rock bottom that He's able to lift us up.
You preaching now? Preach, preacher! So Zowayne, what is your so God happened moment? And this moment, it can be anything. It's that moment where make you stop and say, John no star, who could it be but God? You know, say that Christian thing, yeah, and a play thing. What is that one moment for you? And you probably have enough.
Right? So I'm trying to
But
find the
but
one.
a one.
The one
One.
moment. The one moment. All right. I go answer like this. When I was in my room, pacing back and forth, wrestling with the inner demons, so I call them, I remember being at my breaking point. I just lose it. I said, "Boy, I'm done with that Christian thing, yeah. It don't make no sense. Me can't bother no more. Me, I got just live according to the flesh, and with the flesh, leave me, leave me. At this point, me not care. Anyway, I don't be the business. Anyway, carry me. Me not, just done. And within a second, it never take long for the other part come and say, if not with you, God, then who? And if not with you, then where? And I think that's my so-called happy moment. That could not have been of me. Yeah.
And your brain never did this one time, so you know that you thought that.
Not at all. That was my so-called happy moment. Because if it wasn't for that moment, I think that moment was the most pivotal moment of my entire Christian life. If it wasn't for that moment, I don't think I'd be in this chair today.
One last thing. So I was getting ready to wrap, but when you talk to the young man them, there is some sort of there's a darkness in our schools, especially. Something is going on, especially with our boys or men of tomorrow. The violence thing here is not normal. This is not natural. I think it is supernatural. So I needed to talk to those boys, people who might be struggling, who, you know, they have a false sense of masculinity. I don't know what it is that you're going to say, but just talk to the man them. Talk to the boys them. Talking at the camera there.
What I have to say to you is this. 4 words actually. You are not alone. Whatever you are going through, somebody has gone through already. Somebody is going through right now. You're not alone. And we can overcome together.
You be hurting. You are not alone. And if you or anyone you know is out there who, you know, probably want to know more about the Christian thing here, it makes sense or it not make sense, or you're just struggling, you need somebody to talk to, you can reach out, slide into my DMs, comment section, whatever you need. I might not be able to help you, but I am 99.999% sure that I can find someone who can help you. So thank you so much for joining me on So God Happen. Big up my nice clean team, and I will see you next time.